What's up, what's up, what's up? To my 0 viewers. Oh, you can timestamp shit? Okay. This is my first time in a while streaming on YouTube and actually giving a shit. This is my first time streaming in a while. Not even on Twitch. How is my Twitch channel doing? Well, we'll figure that out later. So today I'm going to be doing some educational content regarding, I want to make videos. But to do that I need to learn how to edit and also how to write scripts. So I have a list of animals that I want to make videos on. Forget this section, I don't know why I have that. The near threatened. And they're all on, it's all threatened species. Actually threatened species, not like near threatened. Or, well, extinct in the wild is, yeah, threatened. That's probably the most threatened. But now I want to try and garner as much attention as possible. And the perfect way to do that would be making a video on pygmy hippos, seeing as Modang is fucking Modang is just going fucking crazy. It's all probably Modang, yep. Baby hippo goes viral on TikTok, doubles Taizu's visitor count. What? Oh, piss off. I'm gonna get distracted. That's not good. Predators? I don't care how many the hippo is. Fuck that. The pygmy hippo. Oh, it's .org, so they're so cute. Even the adults are cute. Sapo National Park. I should have had a pygmy hip Modang in the thumbnail of this video. Then I would have gotten millions of views. Contains the second largest area of primary tropical rainforest in West Africa after... Damn. I just wanted to see... Oh, Liberia tourism. I want to go to Liberia one day. Oh, they even have a picture or settlement of freed slaves from the U.S. in what is today Liberia began in 1822. Yeah, basically Liberia. While Liberia is war torn, they do basically, because they're basically a former slave state that basically protected them from colonization. Okay. All right, so we'll have this one open. We'll have this tab open about us, Pygmy Hippo Foundation. Florida International University? I mean, go off. What other bride's whale Dominican's parents? Oh wow, they go crazy. What an odd bunch to focus on. High value plants. Oh, it's Madagascar. Okay. Yeah. Amphibians aren't doing too hot. We're here for pygmy hippos. God damn. Sorry. ZSL, that's always a good. Oh, Edge of Existence, that's also good. And Wikipedia is always a good fallback resource because they have their own. Why an Anthracothere? Okay. I wonder if they do they have a history and folklore? Hedge species. Don't you fucking dare, you. More DNA support for. Yeah, there used to be a lot more hippos. Hexaprotodon liberiensis. That's the old scientific name of the hippos. Are pygmy hippos aggressive? Are dangerous as the common? Are dangerous as the common? Protection for weirder species. Okay. Oh, Hirula. rolling down in the deep when your brain goes numb. What is it? Okay. My dumbass. Oh, there we go. We're back. Okay. Pygmy hippos. They're not doing it anymore? Oh. The person who I want to base this series off of, Benji Thomas. They do fantastic Species of the Week videos. We're not going to do Species of the Week, or hopefully I'll pump out at least like... Well, they used to. Oh, poor Anki. You used to be unbeatable. Now look what they've done with you. The nature of Florida. This is the kind of video I want to make. Oh, they have a Discord?
Welcome back to another Animal of the Week. In today's video, we're taking advantage of good old clickbait by looking at penis worms, or their official name, Priapulida. Priapulida is actually an entire phylum of worms that resemble penises. It is actually a rather small phylum with only 22 known species of penis worms, some living but others extinct from millions of years ago. However, some modern scientists have classed this phylum as simply a class within a different phylum, Cephalorincha, as they sought to merge three rather small phylums, Kinorhyncha, Pirapulida, and Loricifera, together, as they all share some of the same basic characteristics. Now it's time for a little history lesson in classical Greek and Roman gods. Priapus is the Greek god of various things like gardens, bees, protector of livestock, vineyards, and a few other things. The most famous, he was the god of male fertility. As he was originally Greek, he was of course appropriated by the Romans a few centuries later, and filled the same role. What has all this got to do with Priapulida? Well, Priapus was famously depicted to have a rather large set of male reproductive organs, and so Priapulida was actually named after him, due to the resemblance between the penis worm and the Greek god.
Well, the Greek god's member.
Priapulida are benthic in nature, meaning they live on the sea floor. As there are 22 different currently known species, they all live around the world from tropical to polar seas, and shallow coastline neritic zones to thousands of meters down in the abyssopelagic zones of the ocean. Because they can potentially live at such depths, it's most likely that we have not discovered all the species of Priapulida, and perhaps we never will, as there could very well be hundreds or more of them lurking in the sands of the deep
that's too many.
Ocean. The reason that some of these species can only survive in shallow coastline, but others can survive in desolate barren wastes of the abyssopelagic seafloor, all comes down to diet. different species have different feeding habits. Some species rely on eating other smaller worms in the sand that they dig out to find. Other species, however, are thought to be detritivores, and so are able to live in deep ocean away from most other life. Fossil records of some of the older, now extinct species, such as the genus Ottia from the Cambrian period over 500
Oh, that
years ago,
fucker.
that were found fossilized in the Burgess Shale in British Columbia, show that some of these worms
Puppy.
have the ability to extend a proboscis out of its top end in search of prey, suggesting that this Priapulida used to bury itself in the sand and hunt from the sake of cover using this proboscis. The fossil contents of its guts also show perhaps that they were cannibals, eating others of its own genus and species, which has also been seen in its currently living relatives. Reproduction is fairly simple. Unlike
Oh,
some
that was
worm
the wrong
species,
card.
these are not hermaphrodites, and there are male and females. Usually there is only one ovary or testes per individual, and they will release eggs and sperm into the water around them, hoping that the sperm and egg will somehow meet up. If they do get fertilized, eggs will hatch in around 20 days, but this varies between species. If you are wondering how it's possible,
We're gonna watch like a couple more of these Animal of the Week videos from Benji Thomas, and then we're gonna do the Pygmy Hippo.
Vast amounts of sperm and eggs. In Alaska,
I should have done this off camera, my bad.
there were 85 individuals of the species Cadatus per meter squared, and 58,000 larvae per meter squared.
God damn.
Hatched larvae will quickly form a protective chitin cuticle to give it some form of basic
Chitin.
protection in the sea.
Well, he's British.
The species all differ slightly, but one consistent feature is a chitin cuticle. A cuticle is essentially a hard but flexible covering around the animal that protects the softer tissues inside. As the worm grows, it will multiply.
Why don't my dick
You
got
may be
that?
wondering how a soft-bodied animal
Sorry.
such as these worms could be fossilized so well if they are soft tissue. The reason is that because they are benthic animals, they are very susceptible to being very suddenly and quickly covered in sediment from underwater landslides or other mass movements of sediment. This quick covering will create an anoxic environment perfect for creating lagerstatin deposits. Lagerstatin just means a sedimentary deposit that exhibits extraordinary preservation, sometimes even preserving soft tissue. The main body of Priapulida is made up of two segments, the introvert and the trunk. The trunk is the main part of the body that
Sorry.
contains the basic nervous system,
Didn't expect the
digestive system,
trunk.
and reproductive system. But interestingly, there is no respiratory system. Instead, the worm's muscle cells contain the protein myohemerythrin. This protein binds to another protein found within the body of the worm called hemerythrin that binds to O2 molecules and transports them directly to the myohemerythrin in the muscles, cutting out any need for gas exchange through diffusion in the alveoli of the lungs, like humans and many other animals, saving the worm a lot of internal space as they don't need lungs. The introvert is called the introvert as it is the head that can be introverted into the trunk. As a soft-bodied, relatively small worm, these things get preyed upon by anything that wants to eat it, really. It has little protection other than its chitin cuticle, but an otter or seal with sharp enough teeth can
Oh,
easily
God.
get through. It therefore relies almost solely upon hiding in the sand as a defense. And even this doesn't always work, because it will end up being preyed upon by other members of their own species. Thank you for watching this video. I
Oh,
really
Jesus.
hope you
Poor
enjoyed it.
guy. Poor guy. Mongolian worm. Oh, happy Worm
Air
Week.
Force, we operate as a team of
Shut
I
up.
believe greatness can come from anywhere, with the flexibility to do it your way. Full-time, part-time, in or out of uniform, we are all airmen. One Air Force, a team of teams.
Welcome to a very special Animal of the Week. As you may know, it is currently Worm Week.
Jesus Christ. That looks like a demon sex
For some
toy.
reason, a lot of you like worms, and I guess Worm Week is quite a catchy name. In this Animal of the Week, we will be looking at this rather horrifying worm.
Yeah.
The piece of gold glittery nightmare fuel you've been looking at on your screen is called the Antarctic scale worm, an animal with the mouth of a xenomorph and the body of a microfiber moth. These worms are members of the family Polynodae, the family that is made up of all other scale worms. This also makes them polychaetes, the well-known well-known class of annelids that contain such infamous worms as bobbit worms and Christmas tree worms. The Antarctic scale worm is in good company. So where would a nightmarish demon worm like this live? Well, of course it lives exactly where you expect such horrors to live, deep down in the frigid South Atlantic and Southern Ocean. You find these 20 centimeter
Damn.
worms at depths of over 5
I mean, okay.
down, so at least they are well hidden from the world. The problem with this cold, dark and remote habitat is that it means they are very hard to study. Though you may think that this is a good thing,
Oh, they're well hidden.
Earth would want to spend more time with a worm like this, it does mean that there is not a lot to go on when, let's say, perhaps making a video about them. It is currently unknown what these worms eat due to the previously mentioned difficulty in studying them. However, all hope is not lost. As they are scale worms, it's safe to assume they eat similar things to other scale worms. This includes crustaceans, echinoderms, various zooplankton, and of course other scale worms. Perhaps one of the most interesting things
Oh,
about
it's
the
got a
Antarctic
beak.
scale worm that we do know is the way in which it feeds. The head-like appendage that is seen in most images of the scale worm is actually normally hidden. This mouth folds into the main body of the worm, so most of the time all you see is the nice pretty golden body. When feeding, the head then strikes
Nice
out
is a
the body
strong
like
word.
more from the Alien franchise. This in some ways makes the worm even more terrifying than before, because you might not even realize what it is until it suddenly pops its head out. As you may well have guessed by now, we
Ooh,
also
these things
don't
are
know
freaky?
about the worm's breeding behavior. We do know how many other species of scale worm breed, and so it's not unreasonable to assume the Antarctic scale worm breeding behavior would be much the same. The problem is there are about 4 possibilities of how this may happen.
Oh,
Some
God.
worms are hermaphrodites, meaning they could release eggs and sperm at the same time to reproduce asexually. Many of these worms also have the ability to segment themselves and create new, smaller, genetically identical copies of themselves. Again, asexual reproduction. However, most polychaetes are not hermaphrodites, which means the Antarctic scale worm might not reproduce in these ways. In the case of the worm not being a hermaphrodite, then it will either be a male or a female, and therefore one will release an egg into the water to be fertilized by the sperm released by the male. However, it's even possible for worms that are only male or only female to also be able to segment themselves and reproduce asexually. So essentially the Antarctic scale worm could be any of these options, and currently we don't know which. Well, we have already mentioned its specially adapted retractable head for eating, and its potential ability to segment itself, though that one is mainly guesswork. So what other adaptations does it possess? For one, its entire body, minus the head, is well adapted to swimming. The strange wrinkly skin segments with the golden bristles attached are perfectly adapted to allow the worm to paddle itself through the water. Really, other than its terrifying head and golden bristles, it's much like most
God,
other
that looks...
deep sea
That
worms.
this
So it
thing
has
is a
more
demon
general
sex toy.
adaptations, including the ability to survive in the deep ocean, survive without much light, and survive in cold Antarctic oceans. Just like most sections of this video, we don't exactly know what threatens the species. We can assume from its physiology, mainly its giant scary mouth, that it is a predator and therefore higher up on the food chain. Other than this, we really can't say.
How high can a
It could
worm
very
get,
easily
other than
be
like a
eaten by
bobbit
other large
worm? But
creatures in the ocean depths, but really don't know. We also don't know anything about their population size. It's probably safe to assume that they are largely safe from human activities, living in not only deep ocean, but also one of the most remote oceans, the Antarctic. At this sort of depth and remoteness, one of the few human things that could negatively influence them would be microplastics. However, there is no evidence that this happens at all. So, as for now, these scary little monsters are...
I wouldn't throw out that thought, though.
Be sure to catch Ben's video on the origin of worms and prehistoric worm fossils tomorrow. My next
Worm Week is fantastic. Okay, a couple more. Oh yeah, the dinosaur named Thanos. That's when I first found this channel. Oh, the hammerhead worm.
Welcome to another Amber Week. Today we are delving once more into the weird and wacky with this week's animal, the hammerhead worm.
Oh, they don't even have...
Amber Week, the trilobite beetle, this name is just a nickname. Really, they are called Bipalium, and this is actually the name of their genus, with there being many different species of them. It is obvious where the nickname comes from, though, with the members of the genus...
Okay, they just put...
...a strange hammerhead, reminiscent of hammerhead sharks.
Oh, key
There are many
moments.
different species of hammerhead worms, and can therefore be found worldwide within the tropics and subtropics, as they love humid climates. They're actually an invasive species in many countries, such as the USA, where they have been found outside of the tropical to subtropical regions, in places like New York and other far more northern states where they really shouldn't be. They come to these areas from plants that have been imported from South and Central America. They are also a big problem in Europe and can cause quite a bit of damage to gardens and greenhouses through their eating habits.
What they eat.
Hammerhead worms are carnivorous predators that feed upon earthworms or mollusks like snails, depending on the species of hammerhead worm, and therefore damage the habitats that they invade by killing off key decomposers, which will over time mean the soil becomes less and less nutritious, as earthworms and snails are no longer there to break down a lot of dead plant material and return nutrients to the soil. They're actually quite brutal in the way they feed. At first they'll track their prey and find them, at which time they'll stick themselves to their prey item using the sticky mucus they can secrete. Their prey will most likely not like this and flail around, so the worm uses its strength to overpower its prey and hold it still. It then secretes enzymes and tetrodotoxins onto the helpless prey that then start to digest the prey outside of the stomach, at which time the worm will then reach its throat out of its mouth and suck up the liquefied and rather dead prey. These worms are truly amazing in almost every way, and their strange reproductive...
That's a word for it.
These worms are hermaphrodites, meaning they are both male and female at the same time. Depending on the species
Gay.
of worm, reproduction is either sexual or asexual. In the worm's sexual reproduction, eggs are fertilized by gametes that have been shared between them by secretions. The eggs are then laid, which then hatch, and there you have it, multiple genetically different hammerhead worms. Asexual reproduction is interesting, as it seems to occur far more than sexual reproduction. The way they reproduce with only themselves is much like how other worms do it, by literally fragmenting...
Wouldn't that just be like masturbating? Breeding with yourself?
So far, we
I'm
have
just yapping.
asexual and sexual reproduction, secreting enzymes and tetrodotoxins for digestion, strong muscles to hold down prey, and the ability to invert its throat out of its mouth to devour prey. So what other interesting adaptations do they have? Well, they have what has been called a creeping soul. Basically, a strip on their underside that is covered in little cilia that, along with the slippery mucus they produce, allow them to move. They have been observed to be mostly nocturnal animals, hunting and moving around at night. This is clearly due to their main prey item, the earthworm, also being nocturnal and only coming to the surface at night. The hammerhead worm also likes it dark, humid and cool, so the night is the perfect time for them to move around. These strange worms are part of the family Geoplanidae, which contains many other flatworms very similar to the hammerhead worms, but who don't have the hammerhead that makes them so special and distinct. The family is comprised of 4 different subfamilies. These 3 I won't try to pronounce, and the hammerhead subfamily of Bipalinae. These worms have no natural predators, as they are Palinae.
Rhynchodiminae, Geoplaninae, Microplaninae, and then Bipalinae. Light work.
These worms have no natural predators, as they are very toxic to other creatures that may try to eat them. They are not deadly to humans, though, as they cannot produce enough toxin to kill a human, but they are still not edible and could make you ill if you were to eat one. That goes the same for other mammals like dogs and cats. They are the predators in their ecosystem, and so have nothing to fear from anything around them. It is their prey that have to look out for them. These are one of the few animal of the weeks that perhaps need to be killed by humans. In areas where they are an invasive species, they can cause a lot of damage to the environment due to how they decimate earthworm populations. They don't seem to be under threat from humans in their native habitats, and are more of a nuisance to gardeners than anything else. Thank you for watching this video.
Damn.
I really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new.
Oh, the black swallower.
It's a new week, and so is a new animal. This week we have the disturbingly named black swallowerfish. The name comes mainly from the colour of the fish, a browny black, and from its amazing ability to swallow prey up to 10 times its mass and twice its length.
Damn.
Twice its length isn't actually that much, though, only reaching 10 inches long, but it's still impressive for its size. The black swallowerfish falls under the classic bracket of strange and bizarre deep-sea fish that you never want to see, but are in fact swimming happily around in the abyss right this second. The black swallower enjoys tropical and subtropical regions of the ocean. Not that it matters much, as they tend to live around 700 to 2,700 meters down in the mesopelagic and bathypelagic zones, where there is little to no light. The mesopelagic zone ends at the point where there is no light, and the entire bathypelagic is devoid of sunlight. The range extends quite far into the North Atlantic, being found most commonly near the shores of North America, particularly around the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, but many have also been found off South Africa. Their deep-sea homes make them hard to find. They are rarely caught live on camera, so most records of the fish come from when they are caught as bycatch or wash up dead on beaches. Their diet consists
That must be
of
rare
mostly
for a small
and this
fish
time
to...
not ones that are smaller than itself. Eating fish up to 10 times the mass causes a lot of strain on the black swallower's stomach, which can sometimes result in them tearing, killing the fish. The black swallower really doesn't hold back. They eat every part of the fish they swallow, and they use their sharp, thin teeth to latch onto their prey. If splitting stomachs wasn't enough, sometimes when these fish overdo it and swallow something too big, they can die in another slower way. If their prey is too big, it may start to decompose before the stomach acid of the black swallower has had enough time to break it down. When the fish decomposes,
And
it
they-
releases gas,
gas?
that fills up the stomach and causes the black swallower to float upwards towards the surface. Sometimes this isn't fatal, but most of the time the fish can be killed from anything from new predators to decompression sickness. And yes, fish can get decompression sickness. This is actually how many of the specimens have been found, bobbing dead on the surface of the water, having eaten something too big. Not much is really known about their breeding behavior due to the difficulty involved in studying these deep-dwelling fish. What we do know is that, like almost all other fish, I'm sure there are a few, just a few, that have to be special and break the mold. They are oviparous, meaning they lay eggs in the ocean. These eggs tend to float around the pelagic regions of the Earth, meaning in the open ocean. These eggs are tiny,
Plankton!
only about 1 millimeter in diameter, and therefore
Fire
they
in the
live open
hole!
ocean. We can assume from when and where we find these eggs that they do abide by some sort of seasonal mating time. Many are found off the coast of South Africa during winter. Winter in South Africa takes place from June to August, and then juveniles are then found around Bermuda around April the next year. Well, the obvious first, the flexibility of the stomach is a clear evolutionary advantage, allowing the black swallowers to eat such large prey. There are many reasons why being able to eat enormous prey is such
Would
a
this make
benefit
it a
for the black
macro predator?
swallowers. The main reason is that in areas of the deep ocean in which they inhabit, there is very little life and little to eat.
guess.
And so when the black swallower does come across something, being able to swallow such a large fish whole means it will not have to feed for a while, and it can go on surviving in the desolate open ocean. Its jaw somewhat resembles that of a
Jesus.
snake, able to swing its bottom jaw open enough to swallow its large prey. It is not entirely sure what threats the black swallower faces, but in the deep ocean there are many things large enough to eat it, and many things large enough to be eaten by it. Ironically, one of its biggest threats is its own insatiable appetite for enormous prey, which can lead to the stomach tears and gas buildup from decomposing fish. Humans have been known to occasionally catch them as bycatch, but really don't have a good idea on their numbers, so we can't tell if this is causing much damage or not. Deep sea fish are
That's
generally
not
quite
good.
safe from human interference, so we can assume they're doing fine, but really that's just speculation.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching this video.
Let's
I
watch a
really
couple
hope you
more. Every time things have evolved into moles. Damn. Is you twin? Genghis moth. Cthulhu moth.
When you have rheumatoid arthritis, the smallest things can feel like the biggest obstacles.
Which I ain't
Xeljanz
got.
may help. Xeljanz is for adults with moderate to severe rheumatoid arthritis. Xeljanz is a pill, not an injection. So when you've taken a TNF blocker like Humira and it did not work well, know
Ooh,
there are
omelet.
other treatment options like Xeljanz. Xeljanz can help relieve joint pain and swelling, stiffness, and help stop further joint damage. Some saw improvement
What
within
is
2
this?
Xeljanz helps some feel less RA fatigue. Xeljanz can lower your ability to fight infections, including TB.
An unskippable 1 minute ad for how long is this video?
Lung cancer, death, heart attack, stroke,
A
and
4-minute 35-second video? Am I stupid? Is there a way to skip this?
Don't take if allergic to Xeljanz, as serious reactions have happened.
This is bullshit. I hate this.
Small moments could become big wins. Pay as little as $0 per month. Ask your doctor.
Oh, it's
about Xeljanz.
Pfizer.
Welcome back to another episode of Anne of the Week. Sadly, Worm Week has come to an end, and so we will not be taking a look at any worms this episode. Instead, we are looking at a moth. The Ganges moth is what happens when you let a moth crossbreed with Cthulhu, creating a nightmarish and frankly satanic-looking creature. Luckily, this is just a moth belonging to the subfamily Actinae, and not a satanic beast sent to destroy the world. These moths are actually first described by
Well-
the father of Linnaean classification himself, Carl Linnaeus, back in 1762, when specimens were sent.
He called black people negroids.
Classified. It is unknown what his reaction to first seeing this moth was, though it's very possible he also got as freaked out as many of us when he laid eyes upon this nightmare. Though he wouldn't have been able to compare it to Cthulhu, as H.P. Lovecraft wouldn't have been born for another 128 years. As I just said, the specimen sent to Colonnaise originated from India, however they are not just exclusive to this subcontinent. Ganges moths are found extensively throughout most of Southeast Asia, Japan, Iran, and the northernmost regions of Australia. They are only found in the northern parts of Australia as they need a more humid climate than the dry outback to survive in. This does mean that the majority of Australians can count themselves lucky that they do not have to encounter this moth, on top of every other horror in Australia. But it's bad news for the northerners. Within these areas, Ganges moths are commonly found on farmland and fruit plantations for reasons that I will explain in just a few seconds.
There we go.
That wasn't too long to wait. Anyway, the reason Ganges moths are found
Don't sass
on
me.
fruit plantations is unsurprisingly due to their diets. Most moths are herbivores, and the Ganges moth is no different, feeding heavily upon cultivated foods such as rice, pomegranate, palm oil fruits, and other plants.
Rice?
The larval form of the Ganges moth are incredibly dangerous to farmers in developing countries in Southeast Asia, as they can wipe out entire rice paddies and decimate fruit plantations. The larval forms are very effective at this, as they are laid in large numbers directly onto the crops to revive the larvae with easy food source as soon as they hatch. Finally, onto the explanation for what on earth the Ganges moth's appendages are. They are unsurprisingly used for mating. Their exact role in the process is to attract a mate using the appendage to release pheromones into the air. Only the males possess them, as they are the ones doing the attracting. The appendage is actually inflatable. Most of the time they are not visible, but when the male needs to find a mate, he'll pump up the huge appendage to try and release.
Do they pump air into it?
Pheromones into the air. The fact that these are inflatable somehow makes them even stranger, as a lot of the time you will only see the simple moths, similar to many others. Only when it is time for the male to mate is the true horror revealed. Once the appendages have hopefully worked, the female lays
Hopefully.
yellow eggs onto crops where they will hatch and
Got
start
cock
to
blocked by a moth.
all the food they possibly can, and in the process destroying farms. Obviously we have already gone over the appendage in the room, but what other cool adaptations do they possess? The answer is not many really. Other than the male's pheromone organs, these moths are very similar to many other moths. So let's go into slightly more detail about their unique appendage. The pheromone secreted by the males is called hydroxydenidal, and the amount produced by the males is heavily dependent upon the diet the male had when it was in the larval stage. A diet with more nicene bases, a type of alkaline found in types of grain, will allow the male to produce more of the pheromone. If their diet is completely devoid of these nicene bases, they can actually lose the ability to produce the pheromones, which means they are unable to inflate their back appendages, which means they will most likely die without finding a mate, as their lifespans are very short. In the natural world, a lot of things eat moths. Birds are the main threat to the Ganges moth, but spiders and other larger insects could also pose a threat. The IUCN does not list them, as it's hard to get any data on their population size due to being spread over such large areas. However, the speed and volume at which they reproduce means it's unlikely for them to be under any threat. Plus, their huge range means it's very hard for the whole species to go extinct. Really, it isn't humans who pose a threat to them. It's the Ganges moth that can threaten humans. Their ability to damage crops means they are labeled pests by most farmers, and the damage they can do is quite severe. Thank you for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed it. And
there you go. Sorry.
If you'd like to learn more about our world, its history, and the wonderful life that surrounds us all, please.
I love that channel. But I got what I came here for. Alright, before we start researching, actually looking at the pygmy hippo and some other endangered species, let me get some earbuds. Keep me on track. Freaky ass. He's a 69 god. Hey, run for your life. Hey, run for your life. Hey, cock. Okay. Nigerian subspecies? Oh, it's dead. Okay. Well, we can reintroduce... We can reintroduce them to Nigeria. Man, there has been some battles about what the fuck this thing is. The Lagos Zoo in Portugal? The history in the region is poorly done. That's sad. I'm looking for, like, range. Trinomial nomenclature for the Liberian pygmy hippopotamus. The Nigerian pygmy hippopotamus was never studied in the wild and never captured. All research and all zoo specimens are the Liberian subspecies. The Nigerian subspecies is classified as C. liberiensis hillslapi. Ranged in the... Did it? It is probably extinct. The species is separated by over... And the Domini Gap, a region of savanna that divides the forest regions of West Africa. The subspecies is named after Heslop, who shot 3 members of it in... Wow, that's nice. He estimated that perhaps no more than 30 pygmy hippos remained in the region. Well, thanks, dickhead. You shot 3 of them. Heslop sent 4 pygmy hippo skulls he collected to the British Museum of Natural History in London. These specimens were not subjected to taxonomic evaluation. However, until 1969, when Gordon Barclay Corbett classified the skulls as belonging to a separate subspecies based on consistent variations in the proportions of the skulls, the Nigerian pygmy hippos were seen or shot in River Slate, Imo River, and Bayelsa State, Nigeria. While some local populations are aware that this species once existed, its history in the region is poorly documented. That sucks. Poor guy. Okay. Behavior such as mating and giving birth may occur in water or on land. The pygmy hippo is herbivorous, feeding on ferns, broadleaf plants, grasses, and fruits it finds in the forest. Liberia. Sierra Leone, which is an awesome named country, Guinea, and Okay. Alright, yeah, it says, I just lost my dog! And my brother told me how to chase the bag. I just lost my dog! These animals are nocturnal. Skin moist and body cool. Cock. Keep its skin moist and body cool. Okay. Like the larger, these animals are nocturnal. And wait for the cover of darkness to feed. Alright, ferns. Broad-leaved plants, grasses, and fruits. Finds while foraging in the forests. In the forest. In the forests. Oh, okay, that's grammatically correct. Oh, here. Say less. Herbs? Three years and 3 months. The estrus cycle of a female pygmy hippo lasts an average of 35.5 days, with the estrus itself lasting between 24 and 48 hours. Damn. Consort for mating, but the duration of the relationship is unknown. In zoos, they breed as monogamous pairs. Copulation can take place on on land or in the water, and a pair will mate for 1 to 4 times during an oestrus period. I am pronouncing that different ways every time, but we're going to keep it going. In captivity, pygmy hippos have been conceived and born in all months of the year. The gestation period ranges from 190 to 210 days, and usually a single young is born, though twins are known to occur. Like that, what was that fucker's name? Modang, yeah. That's a better title for it, because just limiting it to just reproductive habits is kind of like, I don't know, it doesn't sit right with me. That's like fucking thinking, well, I mean, Modang is good for her species because of her reproductive benefits as a female of her species, but that's also a really weird and analytical way of looking at it. I don't know why I thought of that. You fat cock! I guess diet falls under behavior, but that's... Alright. Herbs. Burn. These hippos eating good. Broad-leaved plants. Herbaceous shoots. Forbs. Sedges, and any fruit on the forest floor. Okay. Did I spell? No. I like brawl. Okay. I must be in the meanest new. Okay. I should have put Mudang in the thumbnail. I would have gotten views. Wow, pygmy hippos are just the tapirs of Africa. When as I look up on there, consort. Okay. Humans aren't actually naturally monogamous, which is weird. But humans are also naturally greedy. So, I get it. Not guarded. Defended by a bull. Having. All right, we're not going to talk about copulation itself because that'd be a bit OD. Zoos even have monogamous pairs. Wait. Because hippos can't swim. They're so fucking dense that they can run underwater at incredible speeds, terrifying speeds, I might add. What the fuck? Why are these three here? Like, I get these three, they're the big guys, but what the fuck? Are wild animals. Yeah, treat animals with respect, and they'll do the same for you. Well, as long as you're not a twat. And remember, animals have different behaviors from humans. So a completely, like, looking someone in the eye for a human, I mean, some people that's intimidating, but, like, for me, it's like a sign of respect. Like, oh, I'm engaging with you. But for an animal, like, for, like, dogs, as someone who worked in a shelter, that can be a sign of, like, a challenge. Direct eye contact with a dog you don't know. A dog you do know, obviously, you can do whatever the fuck you want with them. Don't fuck them, please. That'd be yucky. Plus, they can't consent, which is even worse. What am I talking about, man? The tangents are incredible. Okay, conservation. Well, obviously. Yeah, they're in West Africa, those forests are falling. God damn. Inhabited. My bad. My bad, OG. Didn't mean to offend you like that. Inhabit. Pygmy hippos are among the species legally hunted for food in Liberia. Their meat is said to be of excellent quality, that like a wild boar. Unlike those of the common hippo, the pygmy hippo's teeth have no value. That's odd. The effects of West Africa's civil strife on pygmy hippos are unknown, but unlikely to be positive. The pygmy hippos can be killed by leopards, pythons, and crocodiles. How often this occurs is unknown. I'd say rare. Well, at least for leopards and pythons. Seeing as... How big is an adult? Though it is unlikely they live this long in the wild. Yeah, they weigh 600 pounds. They're also massive. They're even if they're tiny compared to the fucking, well, the other hippo. The other hippo is literally the other hippo, the common hippo. They just have genetics dinkier. The Book of Antelopes. That's Jensen's Dikier. Hold on, I need to prove my point that I am a demon of... Yep. Oh my god, there are pictures?! Well, shit. Shit on my dilly. Dilly? Yeah, dilly. Shit. What the fuck? Calm down. There are a lot of pictures. I thought whenever Wikipedia uses an illustration, it makes me worried because that means that there are a couple of things that could be happening. A, the animal is so rare or already extinct. The only thing we know is an illustration done during antiquity, and that's the only thing we have as evidence of that species, at least visually. B, no one has taken a picture of this this animal is rare, and no one has taken a picture of it that is willing to put it on Wikipedia. Or C, it's not because the animal is too rare, it's just the fact that no one has taken a picture of it and put it on Wikipedia. All three of them are kind of disappointing, especially the first one, because that means because that means that just that's another animal I'll never get to see, which sucks, but you know. I love yellowback deek ears. I had a dream once where, not a common dike ear. Damn, they live everywhere. Which one was it? There are a bunch of deek ears. Abbott's what the fuck? Oh, there! Bruh, what the hell? It wasn't a zebra deek ear. It was... I'm looking for... Was it a bay deek ear? It may have been... It was like one of these. There was one of these and a pig living under my bed because my house was so disgusting. I don't know why. I don't keep it... I try and keep it nice and clean. But, you know... And there was just, like, animals living under my bed, but because it was so, like, disgusting and, like... First of all, it was so disgusting that we could support large or medium-sized hoofed mammals with the amount of garbage we were leaving out, apparently. And second of all, the garbage was so... There was so much of it that we literally couldn't... there was no way of telling that there were medium-sized ungulate animals, like a pig and an antelope, in our house. I'm never forgetting that dream. That dream was wild whenever I think of deek ears. I'm talking with my hands again. Alright. Settling, conversion to farmland. Causes populations which are already fragmented. They're already fragmented. Holds an international stud book and coordinates the entire captive pygmy hippo population that freely breeds in zoos around the world. God damn! The survival of the species in zoos is more certain than the survival of the species in the wild. In captivity, the pygmy hippo lives for around 42 to 55 years, longer than in the wild. Well, we don't know. Since 1919, only 41% of pygmy hippos in zoos have been male. Okay. That's an odd stat just to, like, tack on. That's like when people are trying to make, like, their NBA GOAT case. They're like, they just tack on random achievements that their GOAT candidate made. Like, okay, that's cool. Anyway, we're talking about rings here. We're not talking about, like, Michael Jordan's DPOY. Like, fuck off. We're talking about team impact on winning. LeBron was taking his teams to the was taking a bunch of fucking Uber drivers to the finals. Alright. Anyway. Okay. I almost said sympatric with pygmy hippos, like it's a species that lives by it. I want to give you a love tap. Love tap. Fucking hell. The effects of West Africa's civil strife. Hippos already have the largest range. Minutes. Oh, we got another viewer? Or view. That's good. Or perhaps that's... Hold on. Does that count as another viewer? If it does, I'm going to be very disappointed. Okay. Early field reports of the animal misidentified it as a wild hog. Samuel G. Morton. American School Ethnology. Oh! Are we fucking serious? I literally I clicked on his Wikipedia page as a joke. Because it was like, I wonder what racist shit this guy has said. What the fuck? Morton believed that the skulls of each race were so different that a wise creator from the beginning had created each race and positioned them in separate homelands to dwell in. Morton believed the cranial capacity determined intellectual ability, and he used his craniometric evidence in conjunction with his analysis of anthropological literature then available to argue in favor of a racial hierarchy which put Caucasians on the top rung and Africans on the bottom. Blah, 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 yap, yap, yap. Oh, Jesus. He described the Caucasian as distinguished by the facility with which it attains the higher intellectual endowments. Native Americans were described as averse to cultivation and slow in acquiring knowledge, restless, revengeful, and fond of war. Oh, really? That white guy saying that is crazy. And wholly destitute of maritime adventure. And Africans he described as joyous, flexible, and indolent, while many nations which compose this race present a single diversity of intellectual character, of which the far extreme is the lowest grade of humanity. Oh, a Morton amassed over 1,000 human skulls. Okay, that's also a red flag. Allegations of bias in data collection and interpretation. Yeah, tended that to Gould's original accusations. Oh, Stephen Jay Gould. Fuck, I love him. Asserted that Morton had, perhaps because of an unconscious bias, selectively reported data, manipulated sample compositions, made analytical errors, and mismeasured skulls in order to support his prejudiced views on intelligence differences between different populations. Gould's book became widely read, and Morton came to be considered one of the most prominent cases of unconscious bias in data collection, and as one of the main figures in early history of scientific racism. Back in 2016, if I read scientific racism, I would have laughed and been like, there's no way that's real. But now I know, holy shit, it is real, and it's so yucky. Morton was nevertheless guilty of bias, though not in data collection. Mitchell argues that Morgan's interpretations of his data was arbitrary and tenuous. He investigated averages and ignored variations in skull size so large that there was significant overlap. A contemporary of Morton had collected almost identical skull data and drawn conclusions opposite to Morton's on the basis of overlap, arguing strongly against any conception of a racial. The tobacco historian had reported several cancers of the tongue brought... What the fuck? Was one of the first persons to scientifically contest racism. In his article... This guy is a fucking G! This guy's awesome. Yeah! Big dog. In his article entitled On the Brain of the Negro Compared to that of the European and the Orang-Utang, he argued based on craniometric and brain measures taken from European and black men from different parts of the world that the then common European belief that Negroes, I'm saying it as that, have smaller brains and are thus intellectually inferior is scientifically unfounded and merely based on prejudice of travelers and explorers. Yes! Okay! Even though he did say this word, and is that supposed to mean Asian? He's using time speak, but I fucks with you because you looked at that this guy's racism, and you were like, get the fuck out of here with that. Racial hierarchy. If anything, blacks would be on top because they evolved first. I mean, the first white people evolved in Sweden like 5,200 years ago. Well, the first evidence of white people, so they were probably appeared earlier, but, you know, the first anthropological data to support the whiteys, the male monkeys. Billy the pygmy hippo. Firestone tie, like that company. Firestone is an awesome name. Oh, okay. Okay, that's his death date. I was like, Firestone still exists? Billy the pygmy hippo. Coolidge donated Billy to the National... Billy is a common ancestor to most pygmy hippos in the U.S. zoos today. Good. Several folktales have been collected about pygmy hippos. One tale says the pygmy hippo carrying a shining diamond in their mouth to help travel through thick forest at night. By day, the pygmy hippo has a secret place for the diamond, but if a hunter catches the pygmy hippo at night, the diamond can be taken. Villagers sometimes believed that baby pygmy hippos do not nurse, but rather lick secretions off the skin of the mother. Delicious. I want some mommy juice. Okay. For the video description of the video. Okay. The pygmy hippo is listed as endangered on the IUCN Red List, and this one. Oh yeah, I forgot the most important website. The one I made a frickin' pop-up for, the IUCN Red List. We gotta reintroduce them to southern Nigeria. Well, if Africa can get its shit together with conservation, it'll probably take like 10 years, which I don't know if a lot of these species have. Damn, this might need to be updated. Not a migrant. What the hell? Okay, there we go. All right. Continuing populations decline are due to habitat loss and degradation, industrial agriculture, logging, mining, and an ever-expanding human population. Though the species is listed as integrally protected in national legislation in all its range states, wildlife laws are often weakly. That's an important thing to bring up. It's important to mention shit like this. Because a lot of people are like, oh, poachers are the problem. We need to demonize poachers. It's not that simple. A lot of poachers are basically forced into what they have to do. It's like most criminals don't want to be criminals because it's fun or like they're just like evil. Criminals do what they have to do because there is a lack of like criminals don't do the things they do unless you're like a serial killer. Then you're a piece of shit. But for most petty crimes, obviously, criminals don't do it because they're like inherently evil. They do it out of necessity. So a poacher, if you get offered an opportunity to make what, say you're like a cabbage farmer in Zimbabwe, and you are given an opportunity, you make like pennies a year. You make barely anything to support your family, and you're given an opportunity to shoot one rhino for a 5-year salary, all in one payment, just for shooting a rhino. You're going to take it because you have kids to feed, you have a family to feed. And the poachers also get shafted in this system because they barely see any of the money that's going into this, because if the black market is so massive. It's really concerning how people always are quick to demonize those who do it, when we should demonize the fact that they have to live like in the way that they do, in poverty. It's sad. All right, brought the mood down. Let's bring her back up. Okay. So what happened after 2012? I just want to... I wonder how the Pygmy Hippo Foundation is doing. Okay. I'm going to take a quick potty break. I'm the only participant. Let's go, chat. fucking love him nonetheless, mate. Okay. Um... Ooh, excusez-moi. Okay, I'm gonna end stream. This was fun. I just wanted to like do like a little stream to like get back into like content making on YouTube. All right.